Some thieves are born criminals. Others stumble into crime by accident. But once in a generation, someone ordinary rewrites the rules of survival. In the spring of 2004, a gardener from El Paso vanished with $48 million of cartel cash, leaving behind one of the most confounding mysteries in FBI history. His name was Daniel Rojas, though in FBI files he's mostly referred to as Subject Zero. In his neighborhood, Daniel was invisible. He was the man trimming hedges in the desert heat, the one pushing a rusted lawnmower across manicured lawns, the one customers paid in cash and often forgot the moment he left. In 2002, Daniel landed steady work at a sprawling estate outside El Paso. The house belonged to a businessman named Miguel Cardenas, wealthy, well-dressed, polite. What Daniel didn't know at first was that Miguel was a trusted lieutenant for the Juarez Cartel. The property was more fortress than home. 12-foot walls, cameras on every corner, guard dogs pacing at night. But Daniel wasn't in the house. He was outside pruning bougainvillea, tending to fountains, sweeping dust from the pool deck. And because of that, no one paid attention when he noticed things. He noticed armored SUVs arriving every Thursday. He noticed duffel bags carried inside, always by the same three men. He noticed the basement door, guarded and locked, yet visited often. And slowly, a picture formed. This house wasn't just a home, it was a cash stash. His name was Daniel Rojas, though in FBI files he's mostly referred to as Subject Zero. In his neighborhood, Daniel was invisible. He was the man trimming hedges in the desert heat, the one pushing a rusted lawnmower across manicured lawns, the one customers paid in cash and often forgot the moment he left. At 42, Daniel lived in a one-bedroom apartment near the Mexican border. No wife, no kids, no criminal record. His income rarely topped $20,000 a year. He had no reason to be noticed, and maybe that's why he succeeded. In 2002, Daniel landed steady work at a sprawling estate outside El Paso. The house belonged to a businessman named Miguel Cardenas, wealthy, well-dressed, polite. What Daniel didn't know at first was that Miguel was a trusted lieutenant for the Juarez Cartel. The property was more fortress than home. 12-foot walls, cameras on every corner, guard dogs pacing at night. But Daniel wasn't in the house. He was outside pruning bougainvillea, tending to fountains, sweeping dust from the pool deck. And because of that, no one paid attention when he noticed things. He noticed armored SUVs arriving every Thursday. He noticed duffel bags carried inside, always by the same three men. He noticed the basement door, guarded and locked, yet visited often. And slowly, a picture formed. This house wasn't just a home, it was a cash stash. For months, Daniel kept quiet. But poverty is a patient voice. His mother back in Chihuahua was sick and needed treatment he couldn't afford. His truck was dying. His landlord threatened eviction twice. And each week he watched duffel bags vanish into the basement, each one heavier than anything he could imagine lifting. Daniel didn't dream of millions. He dreamed of survival. But the idea grew roots in his mind. If the cartel could lose track of so much money, who would notice if some of it disappeared? In late 2003, Daniel's opportunity arrived. One evening, while trimming trees near the rear wall, he overheard two guards laughing about the basement vault. One said, "There's more money down there than in all the banks in El Paso." Days later, Daniel spotted the basement door ajar after a guard stumbled out drunk. From where he stood, he caught a glimpse. Stacks of bills, bricks of US currency shrink-wrapped and labeled. It wasn't thousands, it wasn't millions, it was tens of millions. Daniel's fate was sealed. Being a gardener gave him cover. He knew when guards rotated shifts, when Miguel was in Mexico, when the delivery SUVs arrived, when the house slept. He also knew something crucial. The cash wasn't inventoried. Cartel money flowed like rivers. As long as the stacks remained tall, who would notice a missing pallet? For months, Daniel studied patterns, all while keeping his silence. He bought a used scanner at a pawn shop to monitor police chatter. He mapped out escape routes, but he didn't confide in anyone. Secrets kept alive only in the mind cannot be betrayed. April 17, 2004. Daniel arrived at the estate for routine work. The guards recognized him, waved him through. He carried his usual tools, shears, clippers, and a large wheeled garbage bin. That afternoon, the house emptied. Miguel was in Juarez. 2 guards left for lunch. 1 remained asleep near the gate. Daniel moved quickly. He wheeled the garbage bin to the basement door. With hands trembling, he picked the simple padlock he'd been practicing on for weeks. Inside, the sight almost broke him. $100 bills stacked floor to ceiling, bundled in bricks, wrapped in plastic. He filled the garbage bin with duffel bags until it weighed nearly 200 pounds. Then, sweat pouring, he wheeled it past the sleeping guard, loaded it into his truck, and drove away. He didn't take a handful. He took nearly $48 million in bundled cash. Daniel didn't go home. He didn't even stay in El Paso. By nightfall, he crossed into Mexico using a secondary dirt road he'd memorized. No checkpoints, no questions. From there, he vanished. The cartel didn't realize the loss until weeks later. By then, Daniel was gone, and so was the money. When Miguel discovered the theft, his fury was biblical. Every guard who had worked that week was executed. Informants were tortured. Rumors spread that Daniel was buried alive in the desert. But the truth was simpler. No one suspected the gardener. And by the time the possibility dawned, Daniel had erased himself. Cartel money laundering was already under FBI investigation in El Paso. When whispers emerged of a mysterious disappearance of millions, agents suspected an inside job. An anonymous tip pointed to the gardener. The FBI followed threads: Daniel's empty apartment, his abandoned truck, his history of border crossings. But the trail ended cold in 2004. For years, the case was classified as unresolved subject. One former agent admitted, "We underestimated him. We thought he was some laborer who stumbled into luck. But every time we got close, it was like he knew what we'd do next." What Daniel understood was simple. Money attracts attention, but patience hides it. According to scattered reports and whispers, Daniel never touched the bulk of the $48 million at once. He funneled it carefully, bit by bit, through shell accounts and front businesses. He bought farms in South America under different names. He lived modestly, never flaunting wealth. He studied how criminals got caught: flashy cars, mistresses, sudden spending, and did the opposite. To the world, Daniel Rojas disappeared. To himself, he became a ghost with a fortune. In 2010, 7 years after the theft, the FBI reopened the file. A new lead suggested Daniel might be living in Belize under an alias. Agents spent months investigating, but the trail dissolved again. By then, cartel violence had shifted focus. The Juarez faction that once owned the cash was fractured, its leaders dead or imprisoned. Daniel had outlived the men who wanted him dead. Criminologists later debated how a man like Daniel pulled it off. Dr. Evelyn Carter, a criminal behavior analyst, suggested his invisibility was his weapon. Cartels watched their lieutenants, their bankers, their rivals, not their gardeners. He succeeded because he was underestimated from the start. Unlike Escobar or Guzman, Daniel sought no empire. His goal wasn't power, but freedom. That made him harder to catch and easier to disappear. In 2016, a journalist in Paraguay claimed to have interviewed a man resembling Daniel. Older, bearded, fluent in Guarani. The man reportedly lived on a cattle ranch, paid laborers in crisp U.S. bills, and never spoke of his past. When asked about America, he allegedly smiled and said, "I left a garden behind." The FBI declined to comment. Today in border towns, Daniel's story circulates like folklore. Some say he was eventually caught and killed in silence. Others say he lives comfortably in Uruguay, a ghost among farmers. Cartel veterans curse his name but secretly admire the audacity. FBI agents who once chased him admit the file still bothers them, and ordinary workers whisper about him because he was one of them. A gardener, a man ignored by the powerful, who turned the tables and walked away with their fortune. What does Daniel's story mean? It means wealth isn't always seized by the strong, but sometimes by the invisible. It means power can blind itself to those it doesn't see. And it means that survival, not ambition, can be the greatest weapon. As one retired FBI agent reflected,
He wasn't smarter than everyone else, he was just quieter, patient, disciplined, and that was enough. He made fools of us all.
footage of gardeners working under the desert sun. A lawnmower hums. A man bends to prune roses. Ordinary, unnoticed, invisible. Some legends wear crowns, others vanish into silence. The gardener who stole $48 million left no legacy, no empire, no signature, only questions. And perhaps that was the greatest theft of all.